There you go.
Hello.
It's working out. So, Kelsey, how are you today?
I'm pretty good. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And what better way to start an epic day with an epic guest? We have a long day today, but we are starting strong with someone as bad as you.
That is very nice. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Cool. So, welcome to the show. It is so cool. As I said, it's cool and awesome to have you here. Before we start, I have to give you a proper welcome. So, if you have seen some of my episodes before, you know exactly what I'm about to do. If not, let me show you.
Sure.
Love it. Super epic, I know, right?
Very epic.
There you go. I mean, we're just starting. I mean, we're still a small operation growing, but who knows? At some point, we're definitely gonna have a lot of live audience then.
Great. Oh,
There
do you
you
have a
go.
dog in the background? Oh.
Yeah, I live with 3, so yeah, it's gonna be maybe a couple of barkings here and there. Just giving you a quick heads up. So, but anyway, so again, welcome here. It's so cool. So starting with the whole interview here. So, growing up in Connecticut, you received training in classical and contemporary dance at several studios such as Connecticut Ballet Company and Green Ballet Academy. But you always felt like a strong pull to New York City. Tell me, what made you wanted to go to New York at that point?
Sure. I mean, luckily, I was fortunate enough to grow up in close proximity to New York City. So I found myself there a lot, whether it was like taking a jazz class at Step Cafe. I also went to see a lot of Broadway shows growing up with my grandparents and my parents. So I'm sure somewhere along the line that piqued my interest. And New York is, the place where a lot of dreams come true. So I think that was instilled in me at a young age. So I just always was like bright-eyed wanting to go to New York City.
I love it. Okay. And then at the age of 17, you've entered to and board to attend University of Michigan School of Music, Theater, and Dance, which is super cool. But tell me, what were some of the challenges that you have during that time, and how did you manage to continue going forward? Because I think whenever we're starting something new, right, it's gonna be at least at first, it's gonna be a constant down. You know what I mean? It's going to be like a constant struggle here or there. So what kept you going? Because I think also at that time, it's very quickly to just be like, yeah, maybe I don't want this anymore. I'm gonna try something else.
Sure. Growing up, I went, away from home quite often because dance took me to different places across the country. But going to college was the first time where I was going to be somewhere far away from home for a long stretch of time. So that was a difficult transition. Not difficult, but that was something I had to quickly, acclimate and get used to. Also just the rigor of a college schedule, because University of Michigan is also heavily academic. So balancing that with also my dance classes and maintaining my artistic interests.
Yeah.
So that was something I had to get used to also. And I think, college isn't for everyone, but it was a great opportunity for me to, grow up a bit. And yeah, I think it was a positive experience for me, mostly.
I love it. That is so cool. Yeah, it's so interesting because on colleges, I think the time when you get the chance to taste a little bit of how actual world is, you know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely, yes. And you're also with a bunch of people who have similar aspirations and dreams as you do. In the dance program, you're like thrust into this group of people who are very similar to you, but also different. So you get to learn from one another a lot.
Totally. Yeah, it's so fun that I did went to college as well, and yeah, it was very interesting to see. At first, I remember the first semester, everybody was happy and naive, and so yeah, we're gonna be best friends and blah blah blah. And at the end of it, everybody was on their own things. Some of them were starting to get bald. Some of them even with wrinkles, and some of them just left out. So it's so interesting how this process, it definitely changed you, and especially with a career that you need to prepare and study. It's awesome, but it is frustrating sometimes.
Yes, very much so. I agree with that.
Yeah, totally. So, so then you had the opportunity to perform in many new works by dance faculty and visiting choreographers, as well as interdivisional projects by upperclassmen. Tell me, what can you remember from those experiences, but also what are some of the things that you learned for the future, let's say?
Sure. Yeah. Wow. This is taking me back to when
Oh,
I
yeah.
was 17. Um, wow. I mean, it was an incredible experience getting to, I was in 3 different works at the time at Michigan. And so getting to work with different choreographers and learn very different type of movement, that was an incredible experience. And I learned so much from that rehearsal process alone. And I just love being on stage. So any chance that I get, it's my favorite thing in the whole world. So having that stage time, that stage experience, continuing on with that, just you learn. This is a very generic way of saying like every experience is a learning experience, and luckily that particular one was really, really positive for me, and a lot of fun too.
Yeah, but that is so cool. That is badass plus 2. So later you made it to New York and went to the Juilliard School. That is like super badass, by the way. But tell me, at that moment, like, what was your reaction when you like, what was your reaction? The fact that everything that you were making it come true, you know, that you were actually going to this famous school in New York. So like I wonder, like, what was your reaction to see how it was, like part of the dream becoming true?
My reaction, I remember that day very vividly when I got that phone call. I was sitting in one of the cafeterias at Michigan with some friends, and I got this 212 number, which is an area code for New York City, and I was like, that's interesting. I don't think I picked it up right away, and I got a voicemail saying that this was, you know, the admissions department at Juilliard. Please give us a call back. That was probably one of the most amazing times of my life, getting that phone call. I worked for so long and so hard to get into that school, and it didn't necessarily happen the way that I thought it would happen, obviously because I went to Michigan for a year prior to that, but it was all in good timing, and I'm very grateful that I got to go to both of those schools. But yeah, getting that phone call was like, that is a day I'll never forget.
I love it. That is so cool. I bet like the whole experience, right? The whole, I mean, that must have been like super excited moment. Like, you know, like, I mean, I would have been like dancing all day, like screaming. Yeah, that was so cool.
Yes, absolutely.
That is amazing. That is amazing. Now, while at Juilliard, you were under the direction of Lawrence Rhodes, Kelsey, in which you developed your interest in choreography, and were handpicked to create work from choreographers and composers and senior dance production. So tell me, like, how usually the process to create a choreography goes from like starting it to finish it? Because I do think that it does take, I would assume that it usually takes weeks, maybe months sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, each process, I would say the choreographers and composers, oh gosh, now I'm having to remember how long that process was. I think that was over the course of like one semester at college. So there was obviously a selection process, and once you got selected to choreograph, you matched up with a composer who was also a student at school at the time. So that was a very collaborative process. So you would both talk about what it was that you envisioned for your respective work of art. So I spoke with my composer, her name was Molly, about what I was envisioning, and we both just kind of ended up creating this piece that we put on at the end of the semester. So sometimes she would come into rehearsal and see what I was working on, like movement wise. She would send me clips of different like of the piece that she was composing, and it was really fun. There was electric violin, which was really cool.
Cool.
And all the musicians on stage, they were on stage with the dancers in my piece. And they were students too. So it was a very like collaborative, you know, the art student body.
I love it. Piece. That is so cool. That is like super cool. Wow. Now, before we continue here, I noticed here a comment. Can you send a greetings to my Warzone squad, the Paw Patrol? Sure. Let me give you a huge shout out for those guys. I bet you guys are good. So thank you for watching this, and I hope you guys kill it tonight. Anyway, going back, that is so cool what you do, and you know, I find it always so interesting, like the whole choreograph process. You know, back in high school, I decided to do like this choreograph of one of the songs of Justin Timberlake, and I remember that it took us months, and it was not that it was not that very hard, but it took us months because even though that we had like an expert to it, but the problem was that to coordinate everything, you know, like to make it like perfect timing so everybody could dance. And I remember like it took us a couple of months, but at the end of it, we were like doing it, and it was so cool and it was so interesting that like regardless that we were not doing like so much physical activity, like at the end of every rehearsal we were like sweating, you know, we were like super tired, we were sweating, we were like, what the hell? So that was so cool.
That sounds like a fun experience.
Yeah, unfortunately we were not able to perform that because the day when it happened it was raining a lot, so they canceled that. So yeah,
I see. Things happen with live performance.
oh yeah, but anyway, probably that was for the good. Now you graduated from Juilliard School Dance Division in 2015, and then you were awarded President Joseph W. Policy Artist as citizen as recognition for 4 years of outreach given to only one student in each division, which is you know, dance, drama, and music. But on your final year on Juilliard, you made your professional debut at the Joyce Theater with the Lar Lubavitch Company. Now, tell me, looking back, how could you describe all that hard work you did in order to get to that moment? Like did you ever got the chance to kind of sit back and realize like all of the things that happened that you ended up doing, all the hard work, all the moments of stress and everything for you to get to that moment?
A lot of stressful moments, yes.
I bet.
Absolutely. A lot of questioning whether or not I'm good enough. I think that happens a lot with anything. Yeah. We all do. You know, there's doubt creeps its way in inevitably. But there were definitely opportunities awarded to me that were unexpected. There were definitely those that I really, really wanted and was very specific about working toward. And I think that's like an important thing, to have specific goals in mind, but also to let go and let what will happen, because we only have so much control over things. So yeah, all of those moments where I was celebrated, so to speak, I'm very grateful to have had those experiences. And I don't think, I mean, I do go back and think about maybe there are some things that I would change. And I think at the end of the day, probably to not doubt myself so much. I don't know if any of this answers your initial question. But yeah, I kind of went off on a tangent there. But yeah, of course, it's great to be celebrated and to be awarded things that, you know, prove your hard work.
That's so cool. Now, talking about your performances on theater, so you have been in plays such as The Phantom of the Opera, The Last Supper, The Christmas Spectacular. What can you tell me about those performances, and also how you usually prepare a character?
Sure. I mean, those are three very different types of shows. Phantom, obviously, its reputation precedes itself. And Radio City is this massive production, this massive stage in the middle of New York City. And The Lost Supper was at this place called the McKittrick Hotel, which is an immersive performance space in New York City. And it was a very small, kind of improv-based theater show. Not entirely improvised. Like, it was very much a set show, but within that you could play a bit more.
Okay.
So, having said that, there are definite similarities with how I prep for things, regardless of what show I'm doing. I love being in my dressing room and taking ample time to get ready and kind of settle in, settle the nerves. In all of those shows, I've shared dressing rooms, so it's nice to be able to be surrounded by fellow castmates. In a weird way, that calms my nerves. I don't like to expend too much energy talking, but it's sometimes inevitable when you're with your friends. So yeah, I think just the whole ritual of getting your makeup done, your hair, getting into costume, warming up physically, vocally, that kind of is a through line with like any show that I do.
Yeah. Okay. Wow. In what aspect would you say it's important to know when you're in the process of character creation?
Sorry, say that one more time.
Yeah, of course. What aspect would you say it's important to know when you are in the process of character creation?
Sure. I mean, I think that process is different for everyone. Some people are much more relaxed with it. Others need more like alone time to kind of center your thoughts. I would say I'm kind of a mixture of both. I like my alone time, but I also don't like to be too isolated from my cast, because at the end of the day, you're going on stage with them, so you need to connected with them, before hitting the stage. So I would say a little bit of both, some like introspection and then some like communication, like some whether you hold hands with your castmates and say a little prayer. I think all of that's very important.
Okay. And what do you like the most about theater?
Wow. Oh my gosh. So many things. It's hard to say just one.
Okay. Your top 5.
My top 5. Great.
Yeah.
I love live theater. Getting to perform every night, and each show is different. It's similar, but it's different. So you have that like real time experience. And I think the community too, you all are there for the same reason, because you love to perform. So generally what's the word I'm looking for? Like the goal is the same with everyone there. So you're on kind of the same playing field, if that makes sense.
Okay.
Oh no, now I have to think of things. So that was 2, 3. Oh my gosh, I think theater brings people a lot of joy. It certainly brings the people performing joy. And I like to think that it brings the audience joy. And it's a mutual thing. It allows both the performer and the audience member to kind of leave things at the door and just experience that for a couple of hours, whatever it is that's on stage. So it's escape for both of us.
Okay.
That was 3. Was that 3? 4?
Yeah, that's the 4th. We need 1.
Oh man, it's just I think part of the reason why COVID has been so hard is because we've been so isolated. There are times where I'm overstimulated and I'm around too many people and I need like my space. But I think in general, I guess it's similar to what I said about a community. You go to work every day, you greet this, like at a Broadway show, you greet, the doorman, you say hi to the stage management, you see the wardrobe department and you see the person who does your wig, and you're just, I don't know, it's a fun place to spend your evenings.
There you go. I love it. Okay. Now, if you could describe your career at the moment on a movie, TV show, book, or play, what would be the title of it?
To be continued.
I like it. So we're talking about a sequel eventually. Okay, there you go. And if you could describe also your career, but this time on a drink, which one would you choose?
That one's hard. Something that's complex, something that's layered, It's not just
Okay.
like one note. So maybe when you're drinking it, you're like, ooh, I get tastes of this. I smell this. I get, ooh, that pop of whatever. So I don't know what drink. All I could think of when you sent that question over is like, I kept thinking of like a soup or something where it has like all the vegetables and the salt and the pepper and the red pepper flakes. So maybe like a drinkable soup. I really like soup, so maybe we'll go with that.
Okay. Okay. And how would you call it?
What would I call it? Well, if it is a soup, maybe I would call it a hearty winter soup.
I like it, especially right now, right, with this crazy weather.
Definitely.
I love it. Okay. Yeah. Fair enough. And like my last question here is, like, what motivates you? You know, we all have those days in which we just feel like crap. You know, we don't want to continue. We think that it's been a waste of time. We will comparing ourselves with somebody, with either friends, family, or with other people right next to us, and maybe their career is doing better than yours, and you're like, what the hell? So, I mean, I can go all night saying nothing but toxic thoughts. You know, I think it happens, but like, what usually gets you out of it? You know, like gets you back into your passion, and like, what gets you out of this toxic road and continuing on the other road, which is building your career, basically.
Yes. Those are things I've definitely recently experienced. It's very easy to get stuck in that cycle. And sometimes you just need to rip the Band-Aid and just do it. Just whether that's like going to the gym or taking a dance class, or like today I did some like vocal recording. And I've been wanting to do that for quite some time, and I was just like, okay, I just have to do it. You know, sometimes we sit there and we're like, oh, well, this isn't the perfect situation, or, you know, maybe tomorrow, and oh, you can think of 1,000 excuses not to do something. So yeah, just doing it. And it's, you know, been a tough transition coming. I mean, we're still very much in COVID, but it's been a tough transition, you know, coming back to New York and having things open up, which has been great, but it's been a very slow road to get to where I want to be. I'm nowhere near there yet. And of course the goalposts keep moving, you know, once you accomplish something, there's always something else to accomplish. So, you know, staying off social media helps. Like, it can be inspiring, but it can also be very quickly and easily detrimental to like mental health, because you just see what everyone else is doing and what you're not doing. So I think that comes back to just doing things. Just like, don't focus on other people and just do things for yourself.
There you go.
Yeah,
I agree on that. Yeah. Wow. But you know what? I'm super sure that eventually we're gonna see you more of your awesome career here. I mean, I understand, of course, right now that the whole situation is complicated. You know, with COVID, and now this thing, Omicron. You know, it's like the bad sequel. I was like, yeah. But anyway, but I'm super sure that once everything we start to get back and everything, I'm super sure that your career at some point is gonna be like on the very top, because the fact that you have accomplished so many things here, and you have done like so many things, it is more than obvious that your career is gonna definitely at some point just explode and go like straight up. You know, as I said here in some of my previous episodes, that I do believe that when you do things by heart, and when you actually are honest with it, then good things are gonna come eventually. You know what I mean?
Thank you. Yeah, that's a very positive outlook.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm super sure that eventually we're gonna see you everywhere. Hear me on that. And when that happens, I'm gonna tell you I told you about it. I'm super sure. And
I look forward to that day.
Okay, sounds like a plan. And also, I want to thank you so much for being here. It's so cool and so inspiring. Like the fact that how you like your career in general, and how everything has come to the moment you are right now. It is so inspiring, super cool. I also want to thank those watching this right now. Thank you so much. If you're watching it later on YouTube or listening on Spotify or Apple Music, make sure that you follow with Kelsey on social media. If you already do, that's perfect. then leave a million likes. You know, let's make sure everybody knows about her, and then let's spread. Yeah, let's make her trendy right now. And Kelsey, before I send you off, I need to send you off properly, so you know what's coming. Love it.
So good.
I love it. Yeah, amazing. And keep rocking. Have an amazing rest of the evening, an amazing upcoming weekend, and keep killing it because you're definitely inspiring a lot of people here.
Thank you so much. That's very, very nice of you. And thank you for having me.
All right. See you in the next one, okay?
Bye-bye.
Bye.